Hi, this is Bea from Sorcery Soap, and today I'm going to talk to you about tools to use. Well, I'm going to talk to you about the tools that I use for soap dough, and I get asked that question quite a bit, and so I wanted to have one video where we just talk about why I use each tool. My favorite, for those of you in the Sorcery Creations group, know that my favorite is the sugar shapers, which mine has some soap dough on it. And the sugar shapers are by Innovative Sugar Works. And they were kind enough to interview me for their website, for their blog post. So you might want to take a look at that too. I'll put a link in the description below. But they carry two of them. And the sugar shapers, that they're generally for fondant and sugar work. And I discovered them by accident years and years ago, and I've never looked back. I love these tools. I can't even replace them with any other alternative brand. I just love them. They've been invaluable to me. So I want to tell you why I have these tools. So we'll start with those and then we'll move on to the other ones. So you can see they're two different colors and they come in minis. So I only have the full size. I don't have the mini ones. So these darker color ones are a little bit firmer. So let me show you. So if I push on my finger here like this, they're pretty firm. And if this one is the softer tip and I push on it, it's like this. So how I think about these is this is for smoothing and shaping and getting into areas that I would use my finger if I could to smooth things over. And this one is for securing things or finishing work, kind of. But obviously, once you get working with soap dough, you'll see which one works, why, and all that. And so my favorite tools, they have a lot of different shaped end shapes. Mine all have soap dough on them, apparently. And I rarely use any of these, and I'm sure you can. It's just not what I reach for right away. This one, I'll show you the ones that I use here. Where's the other one? I just missed. Oh, here. So these two pointy ones I use all the time, and these two rounded tips I use all the time. So these four are usually in my little tool arsenal when I start working. And the rest of these I don't really find a whole big use for soap dough and for little stuff, because you can see they're just tiny little. The other four tools do the same thing that these ends do, and that's me. Maybe you could find another use for them, and I'm sure there could be another use for them, but I've already started implementing other tools, so I guess that's why. So then I'm going to talk to you about, so I use this to a palette knife, and if you're wondering why there's a palette knife, it's because sometimes when I push, I don't want to use a lot of cornstarch, and I use cornstarch to keep things from sticking. I don't want to use a lot of cornstarch, and so I need to lift it off the table surface without marring it, so I use this to get it off. And sometimes this also works like, here, let me give you an example. It's easier to show you an example. Hopefully black will work, because black's pretty hard to see. Okay, so you can see this. I'm going to put something, let's say I'm going to put something on the back side of something, and I want it to stick, but I don't want to touch it and I can't quite get my finger in there. I'll use this to smooth that out like this, and then I'll use this to smooth it out like that if I'm going to see it, and then I put water on it. If you put water too soon on pieces of soap dough that you're trying to adhere, it becomes slippery. So there's just a really fine balance, and I'm sure you understand that if you've watched me make things with soap dough, some of the other video tutorials. So the other thing that I suggest is I don't use paper towels. I get washcloths that I use only for soap, and one is wet, and it never occurred to me to make a wet one until Jacob started to work with me. Jeff, his online name's Jacob, but he started to work with me and he did this, and I thought, wow, that's a great idea. It minimizes lint, and then I don't have to get up and get the soap dough off my hands. I can just wipe it off and then go rinse this out, and when this gets, I don't know, too much soap on it or whatever, then I put it in the wash, I have a pile that I just wash these separate, and I get another one. And then I also have a dry one, obviously, to dry my hands and keep up on soap crumbs. So that's that. And then I have 2 paint brushes. You could use any kind of paint brushes. These just happen to be the ones I like, and that's what I use. Whoops, let's make sure these are on there. Okay, so these just happen to be the ones I like. And plus I like that it's a flat, so I cover more surface like this, and it helps to smooth. It's another extension of my finger. It helps to smooth soap down with. And then I use this also. I have, you can get a set of clay tools on Amazon, very inexpensive. That's what these are considered, as clay tools. They're wooden. And the reason I use this is because it helps me to scrape soap dough off of the mold. So I have to show you an example of that, but essentially I have another video where I've shown you how to do that, but that helps me to scrape the soap dough off the back of the mold. It's very useful, and it's invaluable. So a couple other ones. This one here is a little blade. Wait, where are we? There we are. It's a blade. It's a dull blade. There's nothing sharp about it. And then there's a needle at the other end. And I've used this for as long as I've been using soap dough, making soap dough. I've gone through a ton of them, and a very kind person sent me a whole bunch of them, so in case I break them, because they will break. These, if you push on them too hard, this plastic just gives way after it's used a bunch of times and just breaks. But these are invaluable. I use this quite often. And if you don't want to get this, this is a Wilton set, and it comes with, let's see, I had it right here. It comes with a couple things. It comes with this thing, which I use a little bit, not very often. It's nice to have, but I don't use it a super amount. But I happen to know to use it. I use this for like making seam things that need to look like a seam, like on the teddy bears and things like that. And on the bottom of the ballet shoes I made the other day. And it comes with another tool right now. Off the top of my head, I can't remember what it is. You'd think I'd know. I bought this so many times. Anyway, so that is a really good tool to have. That's one of the things I use. And then these 2 things. So this isn't just one. It comes in a set, and you can get these as clay tools. Mine have soap dough on them. And you can get these as clay tools, or you can get them, there's a whole bunch of them. Like I think there's 10 of these that I picked up. And I didn't think I was going to use them at first because they're pretty hard, but they're truly invaluable. They create different shapes that you wouldn't think. And you'll see me use some of these. I used this one the other day, this end, and then this end, to put little flecks, little tiny flecks. I just needed something a little bit flat and pointed to put little tiny flecks on a mushroom. And then this I used to make the cat eyes, because it just pushes in, and it was just the right angle, a little tiny. Sometimes you just need that, and these are very inexpensive as well. So you can again get those on Amazon. And let's see. Oh, and then just a rolling pin, a regular little fondant rolling pin I use, and a knife. And and a little cornstarch. And so the cornstarch I use is in a muslin bag, and I change the muslin bag periodically. Just throw it out. Don't even anything. Just change it, because it gets soap dough on the bottom of it, and that has cornstarch in it. And then I use this to brush the cornstarch off, because I don't really want too much cornstarch on my soap dough. And so that's it as far as tools go. I have another video on extractors. And now there's a host of little tools that I use that, like this, for example. This one is just a weird little tool. I just needed some little tiny circles, and I couldn't find a fondant plunger that small. I happen to have this little tiny heart. I don't know if you could see that very clearly. And then that's how small it is. I don't even know where I got this little tiny heart. I have a couple of them. I can't seem to find them again. I keep looking. They're just, I don't even know how many tiny little millimeters they are. There's the tiniest hearts I could find. And I think I actually ordered bigger ones, and I got these instead, and I was disappointed at the time, but now I'm really happy. And again, I can't find them anymore. So if somebody knows where these are and they could put a link or let me know if you've seen these. I'll put in the description, I'll put how big these actually are, so you know what I'm talking about. But anyway, I'm always on the hunt for little tiny tools because they don't take up a lot of space, and if they're pretty reasonable, the only thing out of all my tools, like, well, I'm a tangent. This is a little cookie cutter, little tiny mini cookie cutter I found in the wood area of Hobby Lobby last year, and they're just perfect for the tops of soap. They're just little tiny, and they were $2, I think. So me personally, if it's a reasonable thing, if it's a reasonable cost, I'm interested in it. If it doesn't cost me like just a ton of money, I don't really want to spend, you know, a ton on one tool. But these, and to me that was a ton of money back when I first started soaping. I think they're $45 a set. These Innovative Sugar Works, I call them, well, they're called the sugar shapers. So I think they're $45. They run sales once in a while, but I have to tell you, like, all my tools have been replaced. Every single one of these have been replaced except for these metal ones that I got early on. All my paintbrushes, all my fondant stuff, everything's been replaced with my sugar shapers. They've held up. They're totally worth the purchase. And I'm not sponsored by Sugar Shapers, Innovative Sugar Works at all. I just happen to think that they're an awesome company and that these tools are fantastic. And I haven't found anyone else that supplies these sugar shapers. I have found them, but here's what the problem is. Those ones that are a copycat of these have a seam right here. They're not smoothed off, and so you're going to have seam marks in your material, in your whatever you're working with. In this case, soap dough, you're going to have seam marks in there. They don't feel good either. They're not this soft and bendy like this. They're very firm, and they feel like they're made of just anybody's, like, just, they don't feel good. Let me just put it that way. I don't want to run them down, those other ones that they make or whatever. I'm just saying that I have compared them, and these are the best. Even this plastic here feels nice to me. It doesn't feel like, it feels like a nice tool in my hand. When I got these, I was so tickled. And I'm happy to use them every day. They make me a happy person just to see them. And these were my biggest investment. So hopefully that helps you. And now you know what tools that I rely on and what I use mostly. And I just really wanted to make this video so that I had a reference, so then I could say, somebody asked me, where are the tools? What tools do you use? These are the tools. So thanks for watching, and thanks for listening, and I hope you have a great day.